Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Just Fine podcast. Now, I just gotta start by saying I have been too fucking scared to look at the view count on episode 1 on YouTube. The minute I posted it last week, I instantly felt like sick to my stomach. I wanted to throw up. I was like, oh my god, was this a mistake? Do people even care about these stupid ass stories from my childhood? I was just tying myself up in knots. Like, I didn't know, if anyone would give a shit. And so I turned my phone off, too afraid that someone I know was going to contact me and say, oh my god, Donald, why would you put this shit out on the internet? This is dumb. I was too terrified of that. That didn't happen, but I was terrified at the thought of it could happen. That it might happen. So I turned my phone off and laid down for 30 minutes. And then I kind of just talked myself out of it. I was like, Donald, grow the fuck up. You're just talking to a microphone in your room. If no one likes it, no one likes it. But it's a good thing for you to do. And I realized, what did I mean by good? And then I realized, you know what, this might be a chance for me to be more me. I know that sounds a little odd, but it isn't when you put it in context of my life. So I've always been a little nervous in most social situations. If you've met me, you've probably figured that out. But I've always been awkward, reserved, shy, anxious, whatever you want to call it, in most social settings. And I feel like it all stems back to freshman year of high school. I mean, high school is awkward for anyone. Ask anyone in high school right now. But for me, I started high school 4 or 5 days after we moved to a completely new city. So not only was I starting high school, but I was starting high school in a city I'd never been to before, with kids I'd never met in my life. So for that 7 hours a day of school, I was alone. Didn't know anyone. Didn't know what the culture of this town was. So I would go to class, not talk to anyone, spend my lunch in the library, reading. I could go the entire day without saying a word. And when you were put in a situation like that, where you don't know anyone, at least in my experience, what I ended up doing was pulling back on my defining personality characteristics, my likes, my not necessarily my uniqueness, but things I was passionate about. I would withdraw everything into me to be a little bit more conforming or a little bit more neutral. That way I didn't, at least in my mind, didn't scare people away from approaching me or me approaching them and establishing a preliminary friendship. And the one thing that I immediately withdrew was my comic book obsession. I love superheroes. I love comic books. I know everyone will say that nowadays because of Marvel movies and DC movies that have been popular over the past few years. But that kind of admiration for superheroes is nowhere near my level of obsessiveness. I know shit that the normal comic book fan would never know. I know comic book characters no one has even heard of, or the majority of people have never even heard of. And I could tell you stories, I could tell you their origin, I can tell you random facts that no one could give a flying fuck about. But I love it. I've loved it since I was a child. My brother loves it. My dad loves it. My mom likes it. I'm not going to say she loves it, but because me, my brother, and my dad would always talk about it, that knowledge eventually seeped its way into her brain, so she's at least aware of it and will like engage with us if we are like super passionate about like comic book news or superhero movie news or whatever. Like, just to give you an example of the amount of like knowledge and obsession I have, like, there are millions of comic book characters, some that people won't even know about, but I know about. Like, there's a character in DC Comics called Matter Eater Lad. You're thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Matter Eater Lad? What the fuck's that? Matter Eater Lad is a superhero from a superhero team at DC Comics called the Legion of Superheroes of the 31st century. It is a superhero team that obviously lives in the 31st century that modeled themselves after the image of Superman, who is widely regarded in the future as the greatest superhero on Earth. So they all modeled themselves after them. And they're all kids, more or less. And there's team members like Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, Bouncing Boy, Triplicate Girl, Chameleon Boy. And there's one kid on the team called Matter Eater Lad. The reason I like him so much is because his power and his name are so random but very unique. He does what his name implies. He eats matter. He can eat through anything. And it's just random knowledge like that is like a core part of my personality. That's like what makes me me. But when I was put in an awkward situation where I didn't know anyone and I wanted to make friends, I instantly withdrew that. So I think I went my entire high school and probably my entire time at Baylor for my undergrad without revealing that. Keeping that in and just when I was alone, going to like comicbook.com and reading up on the latest news or scouring the internet for like information on my favorite characters and stuff like that, or learning about new characters. So being put in like random, like that specific situation just started making me pull back on different key aspects of my personality just to try to fit in, just to try to have friends. And I've realized that now, at the age of 23, which isn't that old, but in some respects it is, that at the age I'm at now, I couldn't give a fuck what people think of me now, or think of my personality, or think of my qualities or my likes. I couldn't give a fuck anymore. Now, I don't know if that's my age. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm a little bit more comfortable in life now. I don't know if it's some hard times I've gone through over the recent years. I don't know what. It could be a combination of all. But I feel more at ease and less willing to sacrifice parts of my outward personality to make others more receptive of me. And again, 23 is not that old, but I'm too old to try to keep doing that. Like, the personality that I want to exhibit right now is the personality that I'm going to be exhibiting for the rest of my life. So I might as well do it as me, as true to me as possible. So yeah, like I said, like I don't know if it's my age that's kind of like created this new profound confident Donald. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's always a factor. 23, like I said, isn't old, but by most characteristics and most accounts, I'm an adult now. And like on a bird's eye view, yeah, I am. I have multiple jobs. I'm pursuing a career, or I just started graduate school, so I will be pursuing a career in the near future. But I pay my own bills, pay my own rents, pay my own car, do my own errands, operate day to day by my own rules and my own to-do list. I have to hold myself accountable. So by that standard, I'm an adult. But then there's also just random situations that I don't feel like I'm an adult. I feel like I'm a 14-year-old kid in a new school again. And it's random. Like, oh, actually, no, it's not random. It's in situations that I don't feel comfortable. And like I said a few minutes ago, I feel comfortable. I feel the most comfortable I have in a few years now, where I am at in life now, in the city I'm in now, circumstances I'm in now. I'm probably the most comfortable. But when in situations I don't feel comfortable, that's when I feel like I'm back in that awkward situation when I'm 14 in high school, don't know anyone. And what I mean by when I don't feel comfortable is like whenever I feel like I'm new. Like I started a new job a few weeks ago, and the first day there, they kind of like they should have thrown me into the fire, but I just started working immediately. It's a coaching job, so coaching, I've coached for a long time. It's not hard, but again, it's a new setting. It's new kids, it's new coworkers, it's new owners, it's a new gym. Like, I just instantly felt that way again. I instantly felt like a new kid in a random new school, didn't know anyone. So for that entire first week, I tried to stay within a little confine I set up for myself. Like I didn't try to overstep. I didn't want to take charge. I let them tell me how to coach, even though I know how to coach. I let them tell me how they wanted me to coach, or like random stuff like that. Like I just was super shy, super reserved, and just kind of was very passive. And same thing happened. Like I joined a new gym because I had to. The gym I used to go to in Waco doesn't exist in San Marcos, where I live now, and I had to sign up for a new gym. And when I got to the new gym on the first day, all of the people that were there all knew each other, and we're all like talking to each other, working out together. And I just felt like that new kid at school again. Like, hi, I'm just going to do my thing. Don't worry, I won't get in y'all's way. I'm sorry. And I hate that feeling. But it's so deeply ingrained in me because I spent the entire freshman year like that that whenever I'm in a new situation, I instantly regress to that I am shy, I don't talk to anyone, but it's only in situations that I know that I'm uncomfortable. And like I said, I hate that feeling of regressing to the 14-year-old Donald because, to be honest, no offense to the past me, but freshman year Donald was a fucking loser. Freshman year Donald in high school was the biggest fucking simp you could ever think of. Simp wasn't like a general term back then, but if simp was around back then, I would be the definition of a simp in my freshman year of high school. Like I said, I didn't know anyone. I was desperate for some sort of social interaction at school, but I was too awkward and too uncomfortable and too new to just go up to random people and try to didn't want to be that random kid and be like, can you be my friend? No, I knew I wasn't confident enough to do that, and I didn't want, and it was high school. I felt like if I did that would set me up for failure for the rest of my time there. So I did what any shy, awkward, reserved kid would do at that time in that same situation. I would add people on Facebook. Classmates. I would learn their name, find them on Facebook, send them a friend request. And if there happened to be a girl in one of my classes that I thought was cute, I did the most cringy shit you could think of. I sent them a message on Facebook Messenger and asked them to a movie. Yeah, I know. And if you're like one of like the 2 or 3 people who actually listens to this, I'm sure you just almost vomited in your mouth. I know, it's cringy. I hate it to this day. That's why I hate the feeling that I get whenever I'm in an uncomfortable new situation where I don't know anyone, is because I instantly feel like that. And I hate that feeling. I hate feeling like 14-year-old Donald again, because I know how cringy it is looking back. And so I endured that whole first year, going through the motions, withdrawing parts of my personality, being a simp. And then eventually I found a clique with the gymnastics team, and then I became the mascot and all that. So it got better. It was still awkward. Don't get me wrong, still awkward, because by my senior year, I had known these people for 3-4 years, while everyone else had known each other since like middle school or elementary school. So I still had that in the back of my mind. But like I said, I feel like that in situations nowadays where I don't feel comfortable. I'm happy to say that, like I said, I started graduate school last week, and I don't feel that way. I don't feel uncomfortable. In fact, I feel very comfortable in this grad school setting. And there could be a lot of reasons why I feel comfortable here. It could just be that I feel more accomplished. The fact that I have a bachelor's degree. It could be the fact that I generally like San Marcos a little bit better than Waco. It could be that I was accepted into a grad school program, so it boosted my confidence, at least in my academic ability, a little bit. But I feel like the main reason is that I feel comfortable around the other people who are in my cohort. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Coming into grad school like a few months ago, I was shitting myself because I didn't know what to expect. Like, I knew I could at least relatively handle the coursework well, but it was like the social aspect. Like, I didn't know what to expect, especially with COVID. Like, if I didn't know if we were going to go completely online, I would never like meet any of the cohort people. And like, because I was never social in high school and barely social at Baylor, I was terrified. Like, I really desperately wanted to be social when I got to grad school, but then I got really nervous. Like, oh my God, what if I just regress to the same thing again? What if I don't feel comfortable? What if I just turn into 14-year-old Donald again? But then I realized I'm in a more comfortable situation. I'm older. I'm more confident. I don't give a fuck if people don't like parts of my personality. So I started to express myself a little bit more and haven't been pulling back. Maybe I should in hindsight. But I've been expressing myself a little bit better. I've been kind of like putting myself out there. I've been showcasing parts of my personality. I've always tried to be the funny guy because that's how I survived high school, trying to be the funny guy. That's what I was even as a mascot, like, you have to be funny to survive. And I fully believe that my personality, not all my personality, but a portion of my personality was modeled after Chandler Bing from Friends. Like, that Chandler from Friends would always say he makes jokes when he's uncomfortable. And that really relates to me because whenever I'm uncomfortable, I make jokes to try to become more comfortable, because once I start laughing, then I relax. So that's a big thing. But in this grad school program so far, Like, I've been comfortable. And I've been not proud of myself just because, like, it's such a no-brainer thing to do. But given the background of, like, what I was like in high school and what I was like in Baylor, I'm proud that I haven't felt uncomfortable or felt shy or felt reserved since I started. I mean, yeah, I've only like a week and a half in, but I don't know. I feel a little bit more optimistic, at least, about like my social life maturing. Like, everything else in my life is pretty much at adult level, except my social life. My social life has been like a baby in its infancy for like years, but now I feel like it's starting to mature. Like, I'll tell you how I really know my social life is maturing. I asked a girl who I didn't know out for coffee, even though I hate coffee. I asked her out, and it wasn't on Tinder, and it wasn't on Bumble. I asked her out because I thought she was attractive. I saw her at H-E-B, and I just went up, kind of like pulled my shopping cart up next to hers, struck up a quick little convo, and did I just say convo? Such a douchey thing to say. Struck up a conversation. Asked her if she wanted to get coffee. She said no, which is fine. I'll cry about it later, but that's at least a step for me. That's how I know my social life is improving. That's how I know my social life is like entering its at least maturity or its adulthood, is because like 14-year-old Donald, hell, like undergrad Donald would never have even thought about doing shit like that. And I also deleted Tinder and Bumble from my phone. That is, to me, a sign that my social life is maturing. Because now I want to see about like engaging with people more in person, face to face, which is probably not the smartest thing because of COVID now. But like, I'm at the point where I'm comfortable in all other aspects of my life that I feel like I have the confidence to ask a girl out who I find attractive in person, rather than just swipe. But then going along with that, like, I also feel that another like reason I'm at least more comfortable and have a little bit more confidence than I have previous years, especially over the past like 3 or 4 years, is because I'm healthier mentally and physically, and those two go hand in hand in my life. Like, I'm about to get very vulnerable, so if you don't want to know like not deep shit, but like, if you don't like listening to people get vulnerable, then turn off, like, and pause here, or like exit out of whatever app you're listening to this on, because I'm sorry, but like, I have body image issues. Like, for so long I was afraid to say it, even to myself, but I have body image issues. I'm not going to say major issues, but I struggle accepting the way I look from time to time. And not even like my face. There's nothing I can do about my face. My face is my face. And I know if my parents are listening to this, they're like, baby, you have such a handsome face. Yes, okay, thank you. I love you too. But it's like body image. Like, I remember the day that I first realized I was fat when I was a kid. I was walking past my bathroom mirror. I was wearing a black polo. It was like the 3rd or 4th week of middle school. And I looked and caught a glimpse of myself sideways in the mirror. And my stomach was sticking out further than my nose. And any confidence I had up to that point just out the window. And then when I noticed that, I instantly ran back to my room, pulled out my yearbooks from my private school days, and looked, and I remember it clear as day. Picture of me and my friend Christian walking side by side. He was always a slender, thin kid, and I had the biggest gut you could ever see. It looked like I had a beer belly. I was like, oh my God. So since then, I've always had like fluctuations with weight, body image issues in general. Like high school, I was relatively round, and I would say for like most of my life, I've always been like a stocky person. I've always been short. I've always been stocky. There's no sense in like denying it or not accepting it. But there were years that were pretty good, and there were years that were not good. And that's just how it is. There were years that I was in shape, and there was years that I was a shape, and that shape was a circle. But I would say that currently I'm probably in some of the best shape I've ever been in. And that has a lot to do with my confidence. Like, now that I'm not so self-conscious about how I look in clothes, I'm a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more willing to engage in social life. So really, I'm realizing that every other aspect of my life is feeding, or the stabilization of all these other aspects of my life is helping my social life and my social maturity grow. That's kind of cool to like be aware of or conscious of as it's happening. Wow, I say a lot. I'm sorry. So, and like when I first realized I was pudgy or husky, whatever you want to call it, a coping mechanism I had was I would take my boxers and my pants and lift them higher to the point where like the top of whatever it was on like right where my belly button was. And I instinctively did that thinking that the pants and the boxers being over my belly button would help like decrease the I don't even think this is a word, but the noticeability of my stomach, because I was so self-conscious, because I've hated the way like how big I thought my stomach was. And hell, I still catch myself doing that. But again, I'm in a better situation, and I don't want people to think like, oh my God, Donald has body image issues. That's so sad. Fuck off, it's not sad. That's just life. A lot of people have body image issues. I put myself on a diet because of it. Not necessarily a diet, it's a meal plan. But I work out twice a day. Part of it is to kind of like satisfy my body image issues, and the other part is for my mental health, because I feel if I go a day without working out, I don't feel like I've accomplished everything I needed to accomplish. I feel a little bit more anxious the next day. I don't have as good a sleep as I would if I had worked out. So people will ask, oh, what are you doing right now? Or like, what are you going to do in the morning? I'm like, I'm going to work out. And I would always joke and say, oh, it's because I want to look like a snack. Part of that's true. But really, I know that my brain needs it a little bit more than my body does. I mean, relatively speaking, I'm pretty healthy, but working out is more to like satisfy like my psychological needs and my mental health. Whew, that was very vulnerable. Sorry if you don't like vulnerability and you're thinking, oh, I thought Donald was going to tell more stories, or I thought Donald was going to be funnier. Sorry, I'm trying to be funny as I'm trying to be vulnerable. This might actually just this isn't just going to be a therapy podcast, but there are going to be instances where episodes that I therapize myself a little bit more, because why not? Like, why pay someone to listen to me list my talk about my own mental health or my struggles or my highs or whatever, when I can just record it and post it on the internet for like 4 or 5 people to listen to? I'll go with the cheaper option. So yeah, I mean, this was a very vulnerable podcast. I didn't want it to be like this. I don't even know if it was this. If it was the episode was that like deep or that personal. It didn't feel that personal. It just felt like I was just like talking about just confidence in general, or where I'm at confidence-wise in my life. But I don't know. It felt very freeing for me. But don't worry, if you didn't like what this one was about, they won't all be like this. So, game plan now, and my game plan changes whenever day to day for what I want this podcast to be like. So, I'll tell stories still. There will probably be more episodes where I therapize myself. And then other episodes will just be random. Sorry, I just burped. That was disgusting. I apologize if you heard that. Random thoughts, my opinions on topics I see on Twitter, whatever. Who knows? I might ask people that I know if they want to talk. If they want to have like not necessarily an interview, but like a conversation for the podcast. I talked about my cohort in grad school, so if y'all listening to this, shout out. I know I just met y'all, but I like y'all. I'm comfortable around y'all, so I don't say that a whole lot, so that's a good thing, right? So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be just a random hodgepodge of different types of episodes like this. I'm pretty sure the next one will be a story-centric episode if you like that from the first episode, because there was once I posted that the first episode of the stories, I realized there's so many other stories that I forgot. Like I almost got kicked out of that private Christian school for a drawing I did, and my dad had to sort that out. But it was for a stupid fucking reason. But I'll talk about that on the next story episode I do. But yeah, I hope you like it. I hope you like this episode. If you didn't, keep it to yourself. Like I said in the last podcast, these episodes will be every Friday at about 4 Central Time. It's going to be available on YouTube. It's going to be available on Spotify for sure. It says it was available on Apple Podcasts. We'll find out if it is at some point. You can feel free, if you have Apple, feel free to search for it. Let me know if it is or it isn't. But it definitely is on Spotify. So if you like it, subscribe. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you listen on Spotify. I don't know if they have a like feature. If they do, that's cool. So yeah, I hope y'all liked it. If it gets to the point where just like 2 or 3 people listen to this on a consistent basis, great. I'll just make the podcast for y'all. So I hope you liked it. Sorry if you don't like how vulnerable I was during this episode. I had this epiphany earlier today, and I just felt like, this would be a good thing to talk about. So yeah, sorry if I wasn't funny enough. I'll try to be funnier next time when I'm being vulnerable. But yeah, that's the episode. That's a good ending point. I don't want to go off on a random tangent that has no connection to it whatsoever. But yeah, so this was episode 2. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope you have a just fine weekend.